Okay, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. This is Scott Jorgens from Endeavour Solutions. Today's webinar is on using scenario planning to prepare for the economic shifts. And special guest with us, Harold at Prophix, is going to be taking us through our presentation. So using scenario planning, as per the invite, we're going to look at what are some of the objectives, talk about scenario planning, defining drivers, analyzing data, developing what-if scenarios, and that's really the key. It's high, medium, low, worst case, best case, and ultimately empowering your team to make proactive decisions. So with that said, let me pass it over to Harold. Harold, please introduce yourself, and you can have the floor.
Absolutely. Thank you, Scott. So to everyone on the call, my name is Harold Hong from Prophix Software. I'm a solutions engineer at Prophix Software. Now, you may be wondering, what on earth is CPM? And CPM, Corporate Performance Management. And what that simply means is that although we are a visualization tool as well as a reporting tool, we also help end users create budgets, create what-if scenarios, pivot their business for the economic shifts. And now, before we dive into the demo, I thought it'd be beneficial to just actually show how Prophix works. So what you'll see is multiple data sources that we can connect to, and Prophix connects to each and every one of your ERP systems because Prophix is ERP agnostic, meaning that whether or not you're on Dynamics GP, on-premise, or you're in the cloud, leveraging Business Central, or you have business data or logic that sits in Excel or text files, we connect to each and every one of those data sources. And what Prophix does is we build a model around that. Now, when we speak about a model, what we simply mean is we build different business definitions and model out what you want to report on and how you want to budget, right? So we want to define things like, what does gross profit mean for us? Right? What is gross profit margin? So we're defining calculations and centralizing calculations like that so that these calculations don't live on a spreadsheet within a cell with an embedded formula, which often leads to broken links, references, and so on. Now, once we have these models, the next step that we do is we build reports around these models. And not only do we build reports around these models, when we have the information within Prophix, we can build things out like dashboards so that various end users, whether it be your management team or someone on your operations team, has the information that they need to make decisions, right? Now, once all of these assets are created within Prophix, we can easily export them to various formats that you see above, such as Microsoft Excel, PowerPoint, PDF, or users can interact with their Prophix dashboard via their tablets, mobile phones, or the desktop version of Prophix. Now, all that being said, you can also drill back to your transactional information. So when we pull information out of your data source, we're really summarizing that at a general ledger level, but we also allow you to go back into your transactional information so that you can see the transactions for further analysis. But let's actually look at how we do scenario planning once our plan has been executed and once our plan has been locked down. Okay. So to really demonstrate this, I've actually pinned a report called Revenue Scenario Analysis. And if I click on this report, what you'll see is that Prophix actually updated our budget from the revenue planning tasks that we just finished onto this report. So the budget that you see here is really populated from the results of the report that we just entered earlier. Okay. Now this report is broken out and segmented so that we have various scenario assumptions within the top portion of this report, but we also have P&L information within the bottom half of this report. And we're really looking at gross revenue as well as cost of revenue to derive a gross margin. And I can actually model this information out now that we have a baseline budget, right? So in scenario A, I actually think we're going to be increasing our product revenue by 12%, right? But if we're increasing product revenue by 12%, we actually believe that our direct materials is actually going to increase by 8%. Now, within scenario B, in the situation that our suppliers have actually increased direct material anyway, and we don't want to pass off the price increase to our customer, well, we can just input scenario B as 8%. Now, once we've inputted this information, what Prophix does is it actually synthesizes this information. So we've actually just specified that scenario A has 12% product revenue and 8% direct material, and scenario B is 8% direct material. Now, you'll notice that scenario A and scenario B aren't populated yet. However, all we simply need to do now is refresh this information. And what Prophix has just done is it not only copied the information over from our budget, but it actually applied the scenario assumptions that we've just inputted. And on the fly, it gives us a variance of these numbers so that we can see the impact of our assumptions. But not only can we see the impact of the assumptions, when we distribute it out to our end users who really make decisions off of this information, they can actually interact with the information and provide justification as to why the numbers are the way they are. So with that being said, users can go into Prophix, add comments where necessary. So for the assumption in scenario A of a 12% increase in price, what we can say here is that price increase passed on to customers. Within these comments, you can actually attach supporting documentation. So if we have a different financial model that really models out why this number is 12%, you can also attach that to the comment so that the end user analyzing this information doesn't have to chase you down for the respective information. Now, this report that you see is called an integrated scenario analysis report. And what this does is it breaks out our P&L by budget and looking at the budget versus variance, but it also breaks out our balance sheet as well as cash flows. And this report is critical for end users because it enables them to see the impact of not only the P&L, but the respective balance sheet and cash flow. So again, they can make holistic views knowing the impact of their assumptions on every single variable within the organization. Now, we had mentioned earlier that reports are designed within Prophix to be used by multiple individuals. And if I expand this report, you'll see that this company that we're working with transacts with multiple currencies. So we're dealing with local currency, which is USD, but we can actually pivot this view to look at various other currencies that we operate in. Okay. Now, we also have various companies within this report. So if you have multiple legal companies, we can bring all of that information in Prophix to have a consolidated view of what the scenario assumptions mean when we look at our financial consolidated statements. Right. Additionally, if we want to actually look at the impacts within specific departments or divisions, we also have a filter for that as well. Again, this report and every report that you've seen today are configurable, meaning that you'll configure what logo is presented, the formats, the colors, really the options up to you as to what you want to put in the filters for your end users. And again, what you want to enable them to see so that they can make empowered decisions without having to come to you to assess the information, to pull up specific information in Excel books to carry out their day-to-day job. And again, just thank you for letting us demonstrate how we can help during disruptive times out there.
Thanks so much, Harold. That was fantastic. For those that are new to Endeavour or those that are been with long-term clients of ours, we're now into our 31st year supporting clients, and specifically Microsoft Dynamics, GP, and more recently Business Central, Navision. So I encourage you, as always, to reach out to Trish or James or Steve on our team.